Gentlemen, I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to have a look at the new Chinese light tank in Tier 7, the WZ131. It's no Type 62 Dragon. I'll say that straight off the bat. It is no Type 62. The Type 62 is better than the WZ131 in almost every single way. It doesn't mean it's a bad tank. It just means that the Type 62 is absolutely incredible. Very, very fun tank to play. And I've always said it, one of the best value for money tanks that you will ever see in Blitz. Like, it was so cheap. It comes so cheap, and it is really good. So the WZ131. It's not a bad tank. It really isn't. Obviously, it's got no armor. None of the Chinese light tanks have. So 45 millimeters on the turret, 45 on your hull. So no armor whatsoever. The DPM 2174. You can get that up a little bit more, but I am running it with calibrated shells because the penetration isn't the greatest. Now compare that with the Type 62. The Type 62 has, with calibrated, 2300 DPM. Without calibrated, 2500 DPM. So the Type 62 is better than the WZ when it comes to DPM. The reload on this is 5.79, so nothing too bad. 5.79 isn't bad at all. You've got the penetration at 163 on your standard AP and 213 on the heat. Now again, 213, that is with calibrated shells. So compare the difference. The Type 62 on heat pen with calibrated shells is 275. So massive difference there when it comes to premium rounds for both of these tanks. 48 on your HE, 200 alpha on the AP, 190 on your AP on your heat, and 260 on your HE. Your aim time is very good at 2.6. Dispersion not so good at 0.344. And again, just like the rest of the line, it has no gun depression whatsoever. Pretty much none anyway at 5 degrees. So you will struggle if you are going on a ridge. So you're best to avoid the ridge lines. Best to avoid the ridge lines and try to play this like an out-and-out light tank. Top speed is 64 kilometers per hour. So we've got a couple of games in the tank, one of my own and one that we've just seen that is very good, but very unlucky. So again, like a lot of mediums or light tanks in Tier 7, because of the penetration, even with calibrated shells, when you come up against Tier 8s in this thing, you really will struggle. You really will struggle, especially against those Tigers, the VKs, and tanks like that, the WZs, the Objects, the ISs. You will struggle to penetrate, and that is where you need to use this tank as a light tank and get around them. There is no point you sitting in front of the enemy heavy tanks when you're not going to be able to penetrate them. So use your mobility, use it as a proper light tank and get around the map, get around them, and then you can then be able to get the shots from side on and from the rear. But if you go face to face with them, you really will struggle. And again, just like I've said with the armor, you can't rely on the armor profile on this. You're not going to bounce literally nothing at all unless you are very lucky and they manage to somehow hit your tracks. You're not going to bounce anything. So do bear that in mind and always look out for the enemy team, because you could get torn apart. So that is the enemy WZ131 gone, 2 tanks down, and now, like I said, using it as a light tank, you can get around the map very quickly and just bully the enemy team if they are not looking at you. So 220 alpha there into the Panther, but again, he's running away, and we're going to try to constantly be on the move, and that is really how to play most light tanks. Not all light tanks, but most light tanks, you need to be constantly on the move. Whether that is circling a tank or running around the map, just keep running and that you need to be constantly on the move, unless obviously you've got shots like this where no one's looking at you and you can obviously have free shots, then yeah, that is a different matter. And now we've got the last tank here, no problem whatsoever. We're going to get one shot into him, a nice 263 high roll, and then game over. So we won that quite easily. But yeah, the play style, I mean, if you've got a Type 62, sorry, I forgot what I was going to say there. If you have a Type 62, then it's pretty much the same way. You play it the exact same way as you would the Type 62, but the Type 62 just does it better. It does it better. Now, the only thing about these tanks, and even the Type 62, like any sort of light tank and in this kind of tier, even in tier 8, sort of any light tank really, is even if you are top tier, doesn't always mean it's going to be a success. And that's the most sort of embarrassing thing, is when you're in a tier 7 light tank and you get bullied by tier 6s. You know, you get bullied by tanks with decent DPM, like the Panzer IVs, the Panzer IVSs. They can bully you. They really can. They don't have much armor, but they still have the DPM to fight up against you. Obviously, you're going to have more hit points than them, but yeah, getting bullied by a tier 6 is quite embarrassing. But that is what can happen in these light tanks in tier 7. So you can see him getting the shot off here on the T-34-1, the T-34 trying to back up. Sadly, he does get that bounce. Now, luckily for him, no one is attacking him. So if he gets in the right situation, right position, he can absolutely farm the enemy team. And he's going to see no one absolutely is attacking him at all. There's the medium there. There is one light tank missing, so we're not quite sure where that light tank is at the moment. There's the T-34, but they are 2 tanks down to 1. So at this point, they are starting to push. So he needs to do some damage, and he needs to do it quickly. There is another tank, the T-29, probably one of the best tier 9 tanks. Sorry, one of the best tier 7 tanks in the game, and he is now gone. So again, he's having free damage, absolutely free damage at the moment. No idea what this Tiger 1 is doing, but he's not doing it whatever he's doing, he's not doing it very, very well. However, he is going to start at least turning, and you can just see how hard it is to penetrate him. So hard, in fact, that he's just going to ignore it and go for different targets. Nice shot there on the KV-3, bringing him down to a 1 shot, and again, can't quite get that shot off. So yeah, I mean, he's farming, and this is something the Type 62 could do. This is something this can do. Obviously, the Type 62 has a little bit better DPM, so he does it better. But yeah, this is the best way to play this tank as a light tank. You know, he's got the shots, so there's no need for him to move. And we're going to see this for the rest of the game. Now, this is very, very heartbreaking, this game, and we're going to see why towards the end of the game. So obviously, he's going to try to go for the tanks with the lower hit points. It is now a 2 versus 5. He went for the shot, didn't pay off, and now with the guy down the bottom, he's full hit points, so he's going to take the attention for most of these guys. He just needs to be there farming. I mean, he hasn't had to move, and most of the people watching this battle would be like, oh my god, he's just absolutely farmed. Yes, he has farmed. There's been no reason whatsoever for our guy to move. I mean, it looks like it is kind of like newbie matchmaking, because I don't think these guys have a clue. So it's now a 2 versus 4, and that guy down the bottom is getting ripped. But of course, he needs to go for the Tiger. The Tiger is probably the most dangerous target there. He is now a 1 versus 4, and when you're a 1 versus 4 in a tank that has no armor, it doesn't really look good for it doesn't look like it's going to be a good outcome. However, he was still full hit points until he took that shot. They know where he is. We've got the T-34-1 that is coming around, so he needs to go for this target. So it's still it's almost impossible for it to be a win at this point. There's the T-34-1. Of course, he's going to try to go, but the gun depression just does not allow him to do that. And with the Tiger P there as well, He already pretty much knows this is game over. All he can do now is just try to get as much damage as he possibly can. And that is why he's waiting for this guy. There's one shot, brings him down to a one shot at least. No idea what he's now doing. He sits there and aims and aims and aims. But our guy now is a two shot to these tanks. Obviously the Tiger, he can take a shot from one of these tanks and still be alive. But to get through two heavy tanks and a light tank, obviously the MT hasn't been seen all battle, so it looks like he will be he's going to be AFK. But where are these Tigers gone? No one is capping the bases. Where are these Tigers gone? Both of these tanks are fantastically armored and they both have really, really good DPM, and I'm surprised he stayed alive for this long. I mean, yes, it doesn't look like the best of players, but you can see with the gun depression, he just can't get that shot off. So he needs to relocate. He needs to reset his camo and come in from a different angle to try and split these guys up. We don't know where the Tiger P is. There's the Tiger P, just looking at him. So nasty fox. Yes, the nasty fox is there. So they're both really, really well... They've both got quite a bit of hit points left to deal with. And with only 2 minutes left on the clock, it really isn't looking good for our guy in this tank. But so far, he's still managed to farm 3,100 damage. This is funny. This really is funny, just seeing how bad these guys are. And I'm guessing these are actually bots. I'm guessing it's a new account and he is against bots. Because, yeah, no one will be as this bad. No one. And they look like bots. They really do look like bots. So, but we're not showing the game. We don't really care about the gameplay. I just want to show you the advantages of the tank and the disadvantages of the tank. And one of the main disadvantages, of course, is that gun depression. Look, he is struggling to get that shot off because it's a little hill, like an absolutely little hill, and he still struggles to get that shot off. So that's the only downfall, really, the big downfall. Well, not the only, but that's the big downfall about these Chinese lines, that they do not have any gun depression, and it really is a struggle to play. So you can see here now, these are definitely bots. This Tiger can still shoot him. This Tiger can still shoot him, but he's still not taking the shot, probably because it's a bot and he can't see the full tank. It's probably not telling him. The system's probably not telling him to shoot. So he could have definitely got that shot. So unfortunately, 30 seconds left on the clock, 4,800 damage, one tank left alive, and it is an AFK player. Is he able? Can he clear this guy? 800 hit points. He needs to go for a massive, massive ram here. He needs to try and stop himself dying with just 15 seconds left on the clock. He needs maybe some HE shots here. Unfortunately, he does get a nice roll here. Can he get another high roll? I don't know why he's not using HE. What is he doing? Why did he just not use HE there? He done over 300 damage with a HE shot. Look at that. 0 reload, 0 seconds. It ends in a draw against bots and against an AFK. That is not what you want to happen, but sadly that is what it happened. I'm definitely thinking it is a new account, but you know, we're not here to show the gameplay. We just wanted to have a look at the tank. But like I said at the beginning of the video, the tank is okay. There's nothing special about it. It is no Type 62 Dragon. This by far is the best light tank in tier 7, and yeah, this WZ131 just cannot compete with the Type 62. So let me know your thoughts on the WZ131. Is it a tank that you like? How do you compare it to the Type 62 Dragon? For now, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm Meadsy, and I will catch you all soon. Bye-bye.